What screams, "I'm very insecure"? Constantly wedging humble bragging into conversations. Automatically assuming negative intent. E.g., "You friend didn't pick your call, Fouquet her. She's trying to avoid me. I don't care about her anyway." Single quote. Had a friend who, while I took a nap, texted me, "I noticed you didn't share your chocolate bar with me at lunch. Are you mad at me? Are we even friend anymore?" 2 hours later. "I guess I have my answer." Single quote. I mostly see this at work. People who are in upper management and treat people like garbage just because they can. Being unnecessarily mean, rude or bitter to people. Treating new employees like garbage just because you're threatened they might take your job someday. I learned that the best way to get to know someone was to give them power and see what they do with it. Used this technique before promoting people. I would give them a project and put them in charge to see how they worked with the people under them. If they were a shoals, I could address it. If they did well, I could promote them. This is a self-roast, but I think I degrade myself just to hear others deny it. Is that insecure? I do this and I definitely think it comes from a desire to get ahead of it, like, if I put myself down first, then how badly can it hurt if someone agrees? It's created a cycle of almost compulsive negative self-talk that I'm trying to deprogram. Lifestyle creep. Constant fishing for compliments when around people, e.g., "I'm so chunky," as a direct way to get someone to tell you that you look great. Trying to dominate conversations, not to be confused with just being a charismatic person. I know a guy who will talk forever, on and on about something that may or may not be interesting to anyone but him in the first place. If anyone has something else to say that leads to a small tangent or participation of other people in the room, he becomes visibly annoyed and will bring it back with an "anyway" at the earliest opportunity and continue ranting. I don't like him. Yup. Does this guy also go over the same topics all the time? When people have and insist on constantly checking on their some tracking app on their phone. It's one thing to have it and use it in case of emergency. But using it while out with your friends to make sure he's actually at work is creepy and super insecure. I've found that a lot of people on Twitter that feel the need to post about how great of a person they are and they have nothing but good intentions are usually the most toxic people I've seen. It's like they're trying to convince themselves. I also notice that the things they write about themselves are the kind of things you should let other people say about you. It's just tacky. I'm way too humble to ever do anything like that. I used to be very insecure, so I'll go from my own experience. Lying about something to seem cool. It's very obviously a signal of insecurity because they don't like who they are now. I have a brother who does this. He's so insecure about whether people see him as an idiot that he's getting his PhD so he can officially be the smartest person in the room wherever he goes. Almost verbatim. Dude lies pathologically about the dumbest shish tea. I also went to grad school for that exact reason. I still feel dumb, though. Clicking on this post to see if any of the top comments are things you do. When you question yourself, do they actually like me or are they pretending to, or when you think you're gonna bother other people if you talk to them. Just not shutting up about yourself. Constantly lifting yourself up and comparing yourself to others, while pushing them down. Also, constantly putting yourself down and comparing yourself to others. I didn't ask to be called out this loudly. Sad face. People who always have to one-up you in everything. If you tell a story, they have a better one. If you buy something expensive, they have to be something even more expensive. Some people's whole life is trying to win some non-existent competition. Those are the same type of people who go $75,000 into debt just to impress the neighbors who don't give a anyways. All those people who post on Facebook those quotes that are like, "Don't worry about those who talk behind your back. They're behind you for a reason," or they tag themselves into any and every place including the docks, hospital, somewhere personal. Then when someone asks if they're okay, they reply with, "Don't ask hun Zoxokerg." So basically, people who live their lives through very active social medias. I suppose I'm trying to say. Bragging about things not even in your control. Like your parents' wealth. Even worse, I have a friend who likes to brag to girls at the bar about how successful our other friend is because his parents have a successful business that he is taking over. Super cringy. Haha. That's like third-degree bragging. One-upping people constantly in conversations. Or bragging about how much better you can do something than others can. Which is a much better comment than yours was. Women that guard their men like a solitaire. I was leaving an abusive relationship. My friend offered me a place to stay. The hitch was if she wasn't there and just her husband was, I had to leave. I got a hotel room, not dealing with that. I had a coworker, 20, who used to stay with her aunt because her parents wanted to travel for a year. She wanted to leave so bad because the aunt did not want her home if only the husband was home. The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Being unnecessarily mean-spirited to people. Had a guy threatening to kick the S out of me if I told anyone he was dyslexic. People whose self-esteem is so low that they can't stand the sight of people with high self-esteem. So they will try to break down anyone they perceive as more successful than them. When a group of this type of people comes together, a major crab bucket mentality arises and they will target people perceived as highly competent or successful for bullying, gossip, false rumors, and other things that should have been wiped out after elementary school. People who feel the need to judge everyone in a negative light and who only want to see the worst in others so they can feel better about themselves. It just shows how unhappy they truly are. Ironically, people like this also feel like they are judged unfairly and constantly by the world. Dismissing people before they dismiss you. What? I dunno what you trying to say. You ever see someone try to talk to another person then the person looks away and doesn't acknowledge? That's dismissing someone. They're not worth person's time or attention. Oftentimes, people don't know the difference between telling it like it is and just being flat out mean. People who tell it like it is only give their opinion when it is warranted because they would want someone to tell them the truth instead of dancing around it. However, some can cross this line and just be straight up rude. While using this same reasoning, those who tell it like it is are secure. Those who are unnecessarily mean are insecure. Not exactly a direct answer to your question, but I've always thought this and wanted to share. Interestingly enough, many people who tell it like it is don't like it when others do the same to them. Smiley face. This is how you know someone is just rude. Versus someone who genuinely tells you the truth because they would want the same. Bullying people. You don't try to bring other people down if you truly feel good about yourself. But my bullying has helped people change. Yes. I have actually heard that excuse. I bought a mattress the other day and the salesman had a chin strap and blue flames tattooed up his arms. When I finished checking out, he came up behind my mom and I and said, very seriously, just so you know, people call me firearms. Later that same day, my dad and I were in the parking lot at Lowe's and a guy with spiked hair pulled into the parking lot in a convertible blasting Crazy B by Buckcherry. I like to think he and firearms were separated at birth. Joint Facebook profiles. Don't you bring my grandpa and grandma into this. People over 65 get a pass. They grew up with one phone line. Seen, gets a notification on phone. XGF, who's chatting to you now? Me, it's a game notification. Me, goes to shower. Me, comes back to find GF going through every message. Email and WhatsApp. Does that scream I'm insecure? Greater than does that scream I'm insecure, among other things. Posting what you're up to every day on social media. Or the vague, I'm so upset right now. Status where they're praying that someone asks what's wrong. If you want to say what's bothering you, do it. Don't clickbait your own status. Post, I'm so upset right now. Good friend checking in, everything okay? You need to talk, them, no but I'll be okay. Damn you attention seeker. BF, alright I am going to work babe. GF, you better not BF king with bitches at work. Funny story, a few years ago my husband and I were sharing a car. One day I noticed a note under the windshield wiper that said something like, you're cute. Call or text me, phone number. We thought it was funny that we didn't know who the note was intended for since we had both been driving the car. My BIL's, now ex-girlfriend heard us talking about it and said, if I ever found a note like that on BIL's car, I'd be so pissed. I'd probably call her and cuss her out. Okay. Yay. Totally reasonable reaction. That note was for both y'all. Incapable of self-reflection. The more you talk about how good you are in bed and how many women you've FK'd, the less I believe you. I am terrible in bed and have FK'd a grand total of 0 women. Wow. You must be ASX God. He hasn't heard any complaints yet. Windows XP. I don't know. Most common viruses probably aren't compatible anymore. Saying, "I'm so random" or "I'm so funny" on a regular basis. Don't forget, "I'm so quirky." Using your internal fear as a reason not to do something. Hate your job? You don't apply for any others because you're scared of being rejected. Or that you don't deserve a better job. In a terrible relationship? You stay because you're scared of being alone. That kind of insecurity is the worst emo because it affects nearly everyone. I only get along with guys. Other girls hate me. All girls are drama, ya know. I'm not mathematician here, but even I can see a common denominator. Greater than I'm not mathematician here, but even I can see a common denominator. CK, that's good. Insulting random people's physical appearance. A password made up on only lowercase letters. Immediately getting defensive whenever you try to help them. Being overly nice and being a yes man to make other people happy. Also having no opinions.